Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. Look at this cute little pocket and little double journaling card that we're going to work on today. It's all made out of one single piece of 8.5 by 11 paper. So I guess you could call it a one sheet wonder. Who's wonderful is my friend Connie, who sent me the idea for this. But I just thought it was just so cute. You can paste it, glue it onto a journal page. So, you just open it up within the journal. You can put it in another pocket within a journal. You know what I think is probably the best idea of all is that you could pop this in an envelope and send it to a friend. You've written a couple of little sweet little messages to them on the tag. You can write something else on the inside. You can pop in maybe a gift card goes in there. There's just any number of ways that you can use this little double pocket journal card. I mean, it's all the things all in once. I just made this one based on Connie's prototype that she sent me just from a sheet of coffee dyed paper. I have another sheet of that here, and I have another sheet of just slightly thicker paper. If you're wanting to use it for a greeting card, you might want to use something a little bit thicker. But I thought we'd do both and see how they work. Also, I want to be able to go through the folding steps with you twice, so you don't have to worry about getting them all at once. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to show you, look at this cute prototype that Connie sent me. She's so helpful. She wrote down, the third fold, she wrote all of the instructions here for me. But this is, am I not lucky to have a friend who sends me these cute things? I just love this. But anyway, we're going to go through these steps. But as you can see, this was not my idea. This was my lovely friend's idea. And, it just kind of folds. Let's see. How did this fold up? It's folded up like this. There we go. And then we have our little pockets. Anyway, let's go ahead. I'm gonna have this for reference because I've done this only once, but I think we'll find that it's going to be pretty easy. Here's my 8.5 by 11 sheet. I believe it's called A4 in the European countries. But, you could use any size. Connie made another little prototype out of one that was quite a bit smaller that was also super cute. But I thought this would be the easiest one for you to see. So, do I need a bone folder? Not really, but you know what? We're here. So why don't I just go ahead and make that nice and crisp. So I'm going to fold it both ways. There we go. Now I'm going to fold, it can be in either corner because you're going to turn it around, but I'm going to make my first big fold. And this, I'm going to bring the corner up almost to the edge. Should I ink this for you so you can kind of see that edge a little bit more clearly? Why don't I do that? Because I want it to be nice and visible. Ink this one as well. May or may not be productive inking when it comes to the final product, but it's going to be a little bit easier for you to see those folds. Okay, I'm going to come back and yeah, you should be able to see that. And I'm going to pull this up almost to the fold. The reason I say almost is that I don't want to that edge of my folded in part to get bound up in the actual crease. So we have now the opposite corner, this corner, I'm going to come down and do just a smaller fold, but I'm going to be very careful. Just like this edge is parallel to that crease, even though this one is going to be smaller, I do want it to be a right angle. I do want the folded in edge to be parallel with that crease. So just kind of get that the best you can. And that's just going to ensure that our pockets are going to be symmetrical. I'm coming in, I guess I would call that maybe 2/3 of the way in. You can vary it. It's not going to matter too much. It just needs to be a small, this needs to be a smaller fold coming in a shorter distance than this one down here. So I'm trying to keep this edge parallel with that crease. So there's that. Now let me bring Connie's prototype in to see. Yes, we did that. Did it a little bit upside down, but that's okay. Now this is, well, here, let me turn mine around. It's not going to matter which is top and bottom, but it is going to matter which side we make our cut on. Here's our small fold, here's our big fold, and here is where I'm going to make the cut, is right here. And I might make it easy for myself and ink that just so I can see that crease to cut on a little more easily in my bad lighting here. All right, here's where we're going to cut. Maybe I'll just use my knife. That tends to be the easiest for me rather than the scissors. That lined up there. And I'm going to bring the cut to that center crease. There we go. I learned from doing before that I do want to glue down those flaps, so I'm just going to bring in a little bit of glue stick to get that easy job done. This is all going to be folded to the inside. I think it is nice to have paper that is, you know, that has a little bit of color on both sides. Am I worried that that's going to be, that flap is going to be sticking up? I'm not going to worry about that right now because I didn't get my glue all the way to the edge. Now, let's bring Connie's, my little cheat sheet in. It's not cheating. Okay, I'm going to fold this in like that. And then, and this is going to be my smaller fold. And then I'm going to fold it up here. I'm going to fold that around to the back. We will, again, I promise you we will do a second one, so you don't have to worry about the steps that much. And that's it. I can do lots of inking to make those edges pop. Let's do a second one again, just so we can go through those steps, because if you want to stop the video and do your own, you might be interested in that repeated phase. This is just a little bit thicker. I'm going to come up from the bottom. Tell that's a little bit thicker because it takes to the bone folding nicely. You can, since this is a little bit thicker, I'm going to open it up and fold it together like this. So I don't have multiple layers, which can make a difference as your paper is a little bit bulkier. There we go. And just for your ease of watching, I'm going to ink these just for visibility's sake. And the same here. And I hope that will be helpful. I think the first one I did down here, but I'm going to do the larger fold up here. That seems a little more logical. So on my upper left-hand corner, I'm going to bring this down because it's a little bulky. I'm going to have to pull it a little bit more. And I'm going to bring that edge that had been along the top of the of my sheet. I'm going to bring that down parallel to this center fold, almost to where the crease is. There's that one. And now in the opposite corner, a smaller fold, but trying as much as I can to keep this edge parallel to that crease. Isn't this easy? I don't know where Connie saw this. Maybe she just made it up. I don't know. She's very clever. So maybe this was her own creation. I would call her and ask her right now, but I think she's at a quilt retreat or something this week. She's always off doing something fun, that girl. Now this is the piece I'm going to cut. Not the piece, just that line. And either use your scissors or come in with your knife. You could use a trimmer. You know how to cut paper. There you go. Now, I think I'm going to use my art glitter glue for this one. I've been crafting all morning and my hands are kind of a mess, so sorry if it looks like I've just come in from working at the landfill or something. I haven't. I've just been working at my craft desk. There that is. And we'll glue this down. I suppose you could always trim it off too if you were using a thicker paper, but I don't think I would go really, really heavy with the thickness on this one. Okay, here's our little smaller fold, and that's going to go this way to the left and then up. And there's our pocketed area. There we go. Now you could always just glue this all the way down too, and just glue it on your page like this, so that you have just a double pocket. But I just love the idea that it's just like a little greeting card, isn't it? It really is. It's so cute. Now we're gonna do some decorating, and then we are going to put some adhesive in to hold it all together. But I'm not going to do that just yet, because I think I am going to do a little bit of stamping, and it's going to be easier to do the stamping successfully if I can open this up again. So let's go back to our coffee dyed paper, because I think that kind of has my heart right now in terms of it, being something that appeals to my aesthetic. This, I like this, and I do like the heavier paper. It's almost a cardstock. I'm going to have to decorate that in a different way. But let's go back to this for now. And, I thought I would Connie sent me all of these really great things. Just as I chat, I'm going to ink, so I'm not just taking up your time with jibber jabber and not getting anything done. She sent me a whole box of sweet things. I had a birthday this week, so many of you know I'm a September baby, and Connie and I always say, oh no, we're not going to send each other things for our birthday or for Christmas. We always do. But one thing I love many things about her as a friend. But, she knows the kinds of things I like. We don't really go out and shop for each other. What we do is we kind of collect boxes. I've got a box right here in the craft room of, extra things, that I found somewhere that I think Connie would enjoy. And, it kind of builds up, and then I send her the box, every once in a while. And she does the same for me. And this year, the timing happened to be right around my birthday. And what a wonderful, wonderful treat it was to open this box. Anyway, I thought we might decorate this little fold-out pocket. I don't even know what I'm going to call it. Fold-out double pocket. How about that? Seems like I could be a little more imaginative than that. I don't know. But anyway, why don't I use other things that were in Connie's wonderful Happy Mail box to me for decorating that? Would you like to do that? There we go. And we'll just make this happen and have a lovely little fold-out double pocket. That's what we'll do. I just can see, I love the idea of just popping this in a in an envelope to send to someone special too. You know, ugh, love the idea. So I think I am going to go ahead and do my stamping, and I'm going to do that on this little middle piece. So let me open this up again, and you'll see why I didn't want to glue it shut first. I'm just going to do some stamping here. I have this stamp, and that ought to cover that amount. And what color should I use? Maybe I'll use this yellow. Oh, can this open? There we go. I seem to be doing mostly sort of fall themed things these days, and that makes sense, seeing as it's September, my birthday season. I did always love having a September birthday. I did. Yeah, I talk about when I'm a kid. I have my whole life loved having a September birthday because I love the fall. I love the colors. It was always fun in school because, you know, there was, you know, usually a high school football game, you know, that was around my birthday. So I was a lucky kid doing the September birthday thing. I want to make certain I don't stamp on the back here because that is going to show. So I'm bringing that paper as a bit of a mask. And then we'll just see how this comes out. I picked this, or pulled this big old background stamp off my shelf before I stopped to remember it. Wait, is this one that maybe didn't stamp so good? We'll see. Maybe we'll see. I can always cover it up. I put yellow down, but I must have had some brown ink on there. So we didn't get the yellow, you know, the yellow I put on there activated whatever was dry. You know what? So we have a nice chocolatey brown ink on there. That is okay. Should have cleaned it off more. Doesn't matter. This is going to come together so we can see how that's pretty good. It's a little sketchy up here, but I really am fine with it because I wanted it to look a little bit hand done. This corner isn't completely done. Let's see if I can get this done here. Yeah, that's not the greatest, but yeah, it's okay. Oh yeah, I guess that's fine. It doesn't, that flaw doesn't show too much. I was thinking I would put a book page here and then something colorful up here and then some sort of focal point. So let's look at a few other things Connie sent me. I do love this. This looks, is this a gel? I don't know what it is. I have a feeling this is something that her husband Bill did because he is just really, really clever at working with mixed media things. I think I'm going to put this up here in this corner. And I don't want to use any more than I have to because I don't want to waste it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this edge out here so that I've got a little bit of a margin, and then I think I can cut or just tear here. There we go. Isn't that, it's so pretty. I don't know what he did with this. Look at these interesting colors. I don't know if he did a pouring technique. I don't know. I will have to report back to you when I find out more what Connie's charming husband, Bill, did for this mixed media technique. But I'll tell you, I was a happy friend to find them in my Happy Mail box. I'm going to put a little extra glue around the corner here with my art glitter glue. There we go. And I'll do a little re-inking along the edge here. Yeah, I didn't have any thought as to how I was going to decorate this. But just the idea of using things that Connie sent me just seemed nice. My wish for you is that you have a friend have friends as wonderful as I have, and to have a friend who's a crafter as well as just an all-around awesome person is certainly one of my best fortunes in life. All right, there's that. Now, what do we do down here? She did send some book page because she knows me and she knows I love old antique book pages. And it looks like this size I'm going to be able to get. This is very old. It's some sort of academic kind of book. It's not the... Yeah, I don't want to lose too much of that margin in order to have to cover the full width here. So let me just trim that down a little bit. Oh, this is going to be fragile and, you know, perfect for tearing down, or for, you know, for adhering to this piece flat and then tearing off the edges. How can I get that angle correct? I wonder if I unfold this here, I kind of do like I did with that other piece where I pull it down a little bit past these folds where it would sit. And then I just cut it here. I'm not certain how well it's going to tear. Wow, it practically tears just by me looking at it. There, and I'm going to be able to trim it up closer to the edge this way. But you can see, this is why I don't have the whole thing glued down into place. Yes, that angle is going to be just fine because I do want to pull it back from that edge just a little bit. So I'm going to very carefully ink this. Let me get the edges. Oh, this is so fragile. It's almost going to break just by me turning it up like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to use the knife there and hope that just the blade by itself doesn't completely shatter the edge. But if it does, you know what? A torn edge is a beautiful thing. Yeah, that's going to be okay. So that'll sit about like that. And there we go. And I believe this will be about right. I'm not going to cut the whole thing with my project underneath. I just got it started because this edge was just hanging there on its own. We figure out things, don't we? We can do hard things. All right, and it looks like I can come right down to above this, below this line that says cedar and cypress. Don't know exactly what they're talking about. Again, it's some sort of little academic study of something mythological, it looks like. Now, let's see if I can... That's going to fit there. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if I can do these edges gently without shattering them anymore. This has to be a very old book. Anyway, I hope you are having a good day. We're having another nice, pretty day here. I've been to the gym. I've been chatting with my... Now, see, even in just going like that, I did tear the paper there, but it's going to be all glued down, so that's going to be fine. Yeah, my husband and I are happy because we're getting some work done out in our garage. We got the bid from the contractor today to replace some drywall that needs replacing, and our daughter is happy because she has her little pottery studio in our garage, so there's something in it for all of us if we make improvements to the garage. Dan was hoping to get a new floor put in the garage. That is not high on my priority list. I think, it's a garage. It has a floor. So if he had really pushed it, I guess I would have been okay. But I was glad when he ended up with not a lot of energy around pouring a new floor in the garage. But we're, getting the walls redone. Drywall just wears out over time, and we're a wet, soggy sort of environment here in the Pacific Northwest. I've got a good base there. Let me ink those sides. There we go. And I'll re-ink up here. Get some of Bill's paper done there. Oh, that's looking so nice. I think I want to round that corner. And little bits clinging to my corner rounder. Yeah, that looks nice. That looks really, really nice. What should we decorate the bottom part with? What shall we do there, friends? I have, these are more goodies from Connie. I have these like little edge pieces that she has been cutting off things and sent to me. Gosh, that's cute. I kind of like that. That looks quite nice. That might be a candidate there. Where would she get this off of? I don't know, but she's clever for having harvested it. And she sent me some beautiful magazine and calendar. Are these calendars? No, these are like from a book. Boy, there's some really pretty photographs in this of some of this decor. I'm going to set them aside though because I don't really know what I want to do with those. So I should cover this up while I do my deliberations. She also sent me this book. There's a book called McKay Books that's sort of like our Powell's here in Portland. It's a used bookstore. And she found this April Cornell book from some years back that just, she said there may be things in here you could use for collage. And I did look through and find some things. Like that is a pretty piece. That kind of needle pointy. I could lift that and put that there, but I'm really looking for some sort of like a focal point. What about that? I love that word grandmother there as well, but ooh, that's cute. This is all April Cornell artwork, I guess. I think I'm going to take this page out. Didn't take me long to find something usable in there, did it? And that piece might be nice. It does have this blue that's going in front of it. That might be about the right size, and that looks kind of fallish. Let me get out my scissors. And I'm just going to cut this right out of this book. Anyway, so we're getting the work done on. Got our bid in from our beloved contractor Jose. Boy, if you have an old house, and you have a person you work with that knows your house and that you trust, oh, that is a blessing. And we love Jose. He's been doing work for us off and on for as long as we've been here in Portland, which is now very close to 11 years. And he is our only contractor, regular maintenance helper on the house, that when I see him, I give him a hug. I mean, we love him that much. He just is just so great. And I think I like that. But I think I want to grab some of this plaid that's here in the background and just put that as a little bit of a grounding strip. And then I'm going to go see how that little, kind of like that pine cone piece there too. Anyway, we got our quote from Jose. We're very, very happy with the improvements that we can make to the garage to get that new drywall put in. It'll be cozier for Maureen when she's out there working in the winter time. I'm liking that. I think, is there something else I can... I think I'm just going to pull out another piece of this plaid. What's on the rear? Oh, well, no, I can't use that at all, but that's okay. I hadn't planned on it. I liked the sketches that were on this side anyway. Ooh, now this cut at an angle makes me think, what if I made like little banners out of this little background paper? This is so abstract, it's hard for me to even see if it's they're right side up, but I think it is. So I don't have to spend all of that. What I can do is some of these little scraps, the pieces that I make to tuck in there to stuff this little double pocket with. I will use some of these things to carry on. Oh, I think that's kind of cute. Let me get the pine cones put down here, because that's going to cover up that margin, and then we'll get these things in place, and then we'll be done. I think I want to straighten up this edge here, and I can do that with my knife. I'll have to ask Connie where these pine cone edges came from. But she knows. She likes to, she's a junk journaler and a crafter and a card maker and a sewer and all the things as well. So she, I laughed when I started getting into junk journaling a few years ago. And we had both moved to our respective cities by that point. So I texted her and I said, I discovered this thing called, we were all on lockdown during that time. It was early 2020, the spring of 2020. I said, I discovered this thing called junk journaling. Have you ever heard of that? She said, and I thought I knew everything about her crafting life, because we spent so much time, crafting together and sewing and just, talking about our various artistic pursuits. And I said, have you ever heard of this thing called junk journaling? She said, have I heard about it? She said, I feel like I've been preparing for it my entire life. Because she had found herself, for years saving old laces and old papers and pieces of ephemera, and she didn't, really know what she was going to do with these things, but she just had bins of them that she saved because they were pretty. And so we had a bit of a chuckle as crafty friends because I could totally understand her saying, I feel like I've been preparing for junk journaling my whole life. Is that not a charming thing? Yes, it is. So many of you have said to me, I feel like I'm friends with Connie too, and you are. There we go. Almost done with this, friends. I believe I'm going to use my glue stick on this little piece of thin paper. There we go. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Saturday's flea market. I told you I'm going to be offering some of my junk journals at that flea market that's going to include vendors of handmade goods. It'll be fun to see how it goes. And I've done things like that before that, they're always worthwhile doing. And I don't count success at events like that, based on sales. I mean, it's really nice when I can cover my costs and have a little extra that I can invest back into my artwork. Maybe there's a tool I've been wanting to buy, or some sort of set of supplies, or I go to lots of estate sales, as you know, and maybe I feel like I have a little extra ching in the budget that I can fund through sales of this sort. So the sales are nice. I'm certainly not saying I don't want to have them. But the best thing is, honestly, I think I've mentioned this before, is talking to people about junk journals. When people come by and they look at these books and go, wow, what are those? I start talking about junk journals, and people, they just, so many times they just haven't heard of anything like this. I'm going to attach these little banners, these little streamers to the back of this main piece so I can get it all positioned the way I want it, all of a piece. But just talking to people, they pick up these books, and, it's great if they purchase them, but even more so if people say, I have old books at home. I have stuff, I feel bad about, throwing away, old pizza boxes or old cake mix boxes. Whoops, I should have put this on the other side. There we go. That can hold it there for a second. When people get the idea that they could start doing stuff like this, man, that makes it worth it. That makes it worth it. I mean, just like on this channel, which I do just because I like talking about junk journaling. That's why I started a channel 2 years ago. And, I'd had a channel for a while, but I hadn't, really used it for anything. I'm just going to glue this whole piece down. But there's so many of you, you lovely viewers, subscribers, who say, I've never really made a junk journal before, but I watch you just because it's just kind of fun to see this thing that I'm not familiar with. I think I'm ready to try one. And oh my gosh, do you make my day when you tell me things like that? And I know, a lot of you are going through a lot of stuff, maybe it's health issues, maybe it's, any number of different things. And if this is a kind of a craft and art, both the journaling aspect and the artistic aspect, if that's something that can, bring you some kind of joy, oh, gee, it makes me happy. You know what else makes me happy? This cute little thing. There we go. Let's glue it all together, and then we'll see what we have to ink, and then I'll see if I decorate the inside. I'm not going to make the stuffers for it just now, but let's go ahead and get these edges inked up. If you're not familiar, if you're new and you're not familiar with the whole inked edges thing, there's this ink that's called distress ink, and it's a really nice consistency for this kind of activity. activity. I use a dauber that I've just glued onto a old spool of thread. And, you know, you just give this little swipe to it. You can just use a regular sponge too. You don't have to use an official dauber. There's nothing to say you can't use whatever you like. But we do this because naturally aged paper tends to have sort of, you know, there tends to be sort of discolored edges to it. You know, we enhance that look through our coffee staining as well. We want our papers to look like they've seen an interesting life, like they've been around for a bit. All right, and this helps, you know, the ink, the coffee, that just helps us enhance that aesthetic a little bit more. All right, now I'm going to use my art glitter glue. No glitter in it. That's just the name of the glue, and I like the little nozzle at the edge because I can make a very thin bead. I'm going to glue that edge down there. And then I'm going to come along in my little open spots here. I'm going to put some adhesive there. You could use double-edged glue, or a double-edged glue, double-sided tape if you prefer. You know, if you're using a really glossy paper that doesn't take to the glue very well, you might want to use double-sided tape. You use what you have. Use what makes sense to you. Oh, I love this. Oh, and these are all things that my lovely friend Connie sent me. Oh, I'm so happy. Let's decorate the inside just a little bit more. Here's some more of those pine cones. I almost feel like I want to save them for Christmas, but yeah, I'm going to put that down just like that. And I might as well ink that a little bit just to zhuzh up that edge. Maybe I'll trim off that little bit of margin. There, I'll come around on this side. Oh, I think this is the cutest pocket. And again, if you're not a junk journaler yet, this might be a great way for you to start because, you know, you're just going to make a little pocket. And if you think you don't want to do a whole journal, guess what? You can pop it in the mail to your friend and write them a nice little message or two. Tell them how much you appreciate them. Say, here is a new craft. Maybe we can try it together. Maybe you too have been preparing for this craft your whole life just by collecting old laces and buttons and old tickets. There we go. I think that's going to be very nice there. You know, a nice journaling card to tuck into a journal, tuck into a pocket, to glue down onto a page, or to pop in an envelope and mail to a friend. Just have fun with this, guys. I'm looking forward to telling Connie how this turned out. I'm gonna, as I sit here, I'm gonna go ahead and decorate this one. I mean, gosh, look at this. It's a fresh palette, and it's a fun way that we can use things that we have sitting around. Enjoy this, guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.